Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vino and Chat with Sandra Meehan on a Wednesday night, not a Tuesday night. I must be having a bit of a brain dump there, but we're here on a Wednesday night with Vino and Chat, and we have an amazing conversation tonight that we're going to have with Denise. And Denise is very, very interesting. She's going to talk to us about going against the standard advice and getting a debt-free college education in the US. And I am sure just because she's in the US doesn't mean that this doesn't relate to Australia where we are here, or whether New Zealand or anywhere in the world. When we send our children to that higher education, there's always a debt associated with it. So Denise, I'll give you a little bit of background on Denise. She was the starving college student. Denise had 3 jobs and had to lift food from the college cafeteria to be able to eat on the weekends. And I'm sure some of you out there can relate to this. Denise was always praying her tuition checks wouldn't bounce. She didn't want, so having said that, Denise did not want her own kids to go through that kind of financial stress. And many of us can relate to this when they attended college. But a few years before her eldest daughter began high school, her husband was laid off twice. The stock market crashed and they had to use what was left to pay the bills. Eventually, the money ran out and they had to declare bankruptcy. And I can relate to Denise with this, because when I was married with my ex-husband, at one point we had to nearly declare bankruptcy with no cash and now no credit to co-sign for student loans. How were her children going to go to college? And as parents, I'm sure we can relate to that. So Denise is an international best-selling author, an inspiring speaker, a creator of Cracking the Code to Free College, founder of Parent Talk, College and Scholarships. Denise coaches parents of college-bound teens how to be one of the 600,000 students who graduate debt-free every year. Her mission is to inspire, educate, and equip parents who take an active role in supporting their children to live a life of financial freedom. And we all want that for our children, and we all want that for ourselves. Denise and her husband have moved more than 15 times during their 34-year marriage and spent 5 years full-time RVing it across the US and traveling abroad after sending their youngest child off to college debt-free. And I'm going to bring Denise up. Hello and welcome. What an introduction. What an amazing bio you have.
Thank you. It's been an interesting life.
Well, life is always interesting, and life's always going up and down, and life teaches us many, many things. So, Denise, our topic is going against the standard advice and getting a debt-free college education in the US, but I'm sure this will be in, no matter where anybody is, they can relate to this, take these tools and run with that in their own family.
Absolutely.
So what I'm going to ask you tonight, I'm going to ask you a question that's not on your list. I like to do this. So you did an RV traveling across the US. What was the most inspiring place you went to?
That is a really hard question to answer. I'll say that the one thing that people have asked, what's the best thing about RVing? Well, for me, it was finding places that were never on my bucket list. Never thought about or cared about going to some of these places, but when I got there, they were some of the most beautiful places I'd ever seen in my life. For example, two of if you look at the United States map, upper left and right corners of both sides, incredibly gorgeous. I mean, beautiful trees that are 200 plus feet tall, lining the interstate highways. There are areas where you can see mountains to your left and the ocean to your right, all in one view. Just incredibly gorgeous. So I would say some of the most beautiful places that we've been were Maine, central Pennsylvania, which some have called Amish country, and on the opposite side of the U.S., Washington State and the state of Oregon. And all of those for the same reasons. I love green. I love beautiful trees. The atmosphere was gorgeous. The food was wonderful. Both of those areas tend to be more natural and whole for their foods. And it was just wonderful. Really enjoyed those places.
Well answered, beautiful. I love it when people say it's the small places that are off the map, that aren't the centre of attention on a map, or the go-to tourist places. And I personally believe some of the best experiences we can have, and the most rewarding experience and the enriching experience and the people are those that aren't on the map. And when we take that time to take those little detours that aren't in the centre or be known of the normal tourist scene, that we can have amazing experiences. And it's like going to a restaurant. I like to, when I travel, I like to go to where the local people eat rather than the restaurants that are flipped up on all the different things, because that's where you get the good food.
Absolutely. That was one of our favorite things to do. Not only find the little mom and pop shops for eating, but also the antique stores. We would always try to find, where's Main Street? Where's the old town Main Street in whatever town we were going through? And we just loved walking through the different little stores and shops that they had there. It was really wonderful. And I think one of the other things that makes these areas more memorable to me is that my son, my youngest, who was in college at the time, anytime he had a break, whether it was the holiday break or the summer break, we would fly him to wherever we were, and he would spend the summer or the winter with us there. And again, the experiences he was able to have, being debt-free, not having to go find, let me have to have a job or work at McDonald's or something to that nature to try to pay for his education. It was just a really wonderful experience for everyone.
Well, we're going to get into this. I'm really, really interested. I don't have any children in college. My children are well past that, and they chose not to go to uni, as I think that's what we would call it here. Do you call it college in America? So how did you manage to get both of your children through college debt-free? It seems impossible. It seems impossible for others. And I'm just like, when I read your bio, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is really, really interesting, because if you talk to people, they're like, it's impossible unless you got and I'm going to say this, a shitload of money.
Well, I hear that a lot. I really do. And, both parents and grandparents hire me to help get their kids through college debt free. And what I found, and you read the bio, I went bankrupt, and it's not the kind of bankruptcy people think it's just on paper. Oh, no. We lost everything. The house, we had 2 houses at the time. The houses were into foreclosure. We had to sell everything we owned, the pots, the pans, the books, the toys, everything, the furniture. I mean, everything went. We literally were down to our last, maybe $1,200. We bought a trailer, a lawnmower, so my husband could do something to, feed us, to pay the bills. And we had just enough left to hire a bankruptcy attorney. Even our 2 dogs had to be sold, which broke my heart. I'm definitely an animal lover. If it has fur, I love it, whatever it is. So it took a little while to get beyond the shock of having to go through this. And of course, you're bringing kids with you. You're starting over financially as if you were a young married couple, but you're older and you have children. So it just compounds the problem. But I want to say a few months to a year after this, it hit me that my daughter she was in high school now, and she was going to have college coming up. How on God's green earth were we going to be able to afford this? So I began to do the research, and everyone was telling me, oh, you're starting too early. You don't, wait until your children are at least a junior, senior in high school, right before they're ready to go off to college, to university. Don't even think about it. You're starting too early. That's a mistake. And I'll get back to that in a minute as to why it's a mistake. But I did the research, and it literally took 7,000 hours of research. And in implementing my cracking the code to free college system that I was able to develop throughout all this research, my 2 homeschooled children attended college on 6 and 8 scholarships, totaling $190,000 for 4 years debt-free with cash left over. Now, why is waiting until junior year or senior year to think about these things and to research these things? Why is this an issue? If you think about this, because I did wonder, why is it that everybody for the last probably 30 years has been saying, you don't need any of that right now, it's too early. And I don't have anything against high school counselors. I do not want their job. They have a very difficult job to do. But let's think about this for a minute. If they had to counsel individual students from the beginning of high school all the way through for that entire 4-year time frame that we have here in the US, they would be way more overwhelmed than they are now. But by telling everyone, let's wait until that midsection, till they only have 2 years left, and then we'll work with them and counsel them through, well, they've reduced their load by half. It was logical, but it's not practical, because at least here in the US, scholarships begin in kindergarten.
Wow.
So the longer you wait, the more money you're leaving on the table. And that's the biggest problem that I have to overcome with families, is the mindset, let's say, or that belief that you don't start doing anything, even those tests, those ACT or SAT type of college entrance exams. That's another thing they say, wait until junior year to begin taking them, wait until they've finished the higher level maths. Again, that's not a wise decision. That's an easy decision, but it's not. When money's on the table, that's not a wise decision. So, like I said, go ahead.
Sorry, keep going. Sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, it's just that we've been believing all these things since they've been pushing college and university for the last 30 years, saying everybody has to have college to be successful in life. And that's not true either. So there's a lot of myths that I have to bust just right out of the gate so that we can get some work done and get their kids to college debt free.
Yeah, and I'm not, because my children didn't go to uni, but I do know that you can get scholarships here in Australia to go to certain schools, and my children went to boarding schools because my husband and I could afford it in their later years of their high school education, and you can get scholarships, and that's a great thing that you said. Always think about it earlier rather than when it happens, and be prepared. And that's basically it's one of the foundations of life. It's like prepare before the event happens.
Exactly. What I've found too is that when it comes to that preparation, knowing what is necessary early so that you can formulate a plan. Without a plan, you're not going anywhere. You're just wandering around and you're hoping it's going to turn out just fine. But that's a mistake. This waiting till the high school junior year and not talking about it, not thinking about it. But if you talk to your children early and started formulating a plan for what is it going to take to get those large scholarships for those colleges, then you can plan your high school, whether it's the grades they need, the test scores they need, the activities they need, whatever it might be. I'll give you an example. I have 2 children. My daughter was first. And when she was a high school senior, she applied for some of the very large scholarships. There are some large companies that give big money scholarships, I call it, where it might be $20,000 right out of the gate, for their lowest end scholarship. Those big scholarships have hundreds of thousands of applicants. Well, they're not going to hand read that many applications. So the very first way of getting through the application is a bunch of check boxes that goes through a computer. But these check boxes are lists of typical high school activities and typical high school activity leadership roles, such as president of whatever the club is. Well, being homeschooled, my children didn't have access to those clubs. So my daughter couldn't check very many boxes in this particular type of application. But she did have a very impressive resume. But you've got to get past those check boxes before you get to the opportunity to write down what you've actually accomplished. And I'll give you an example. At this point in time, my daughter had been ballroom dancing from the age of 9. She was a ballroom dance champion. She was an athletic competitor. She had probably 5 gold medals at this point, and she was an instructor. But she couldn't list any of that. There was no check boxes for ballroom dance. Now we've got my son coming up behind her a few years later, but now I've got those check boxes. I know what's needed to be able to get past that first phase of the application. And again, when you plan for this, you can make things happen. So what I did is I partnered with another mom in our homeschool organization, and we looked through those activities and those check boxes, and we created opportunities for our kids to be able to check those boxes. In the end, my son became a semifinalist for that very same scholarship that my daughter couldn't get past the very first application process. It's all about planning. You have to do it ahead of time. You've got to know what you need in order to be able to satisfy those requirements.
And I like what you just said there, was that you partnered up with another homeschool mum, and we're not talking here of and for those that are watching, Denise homeschooled her children, so you just haven't gone through the normal education system. So you've had to jump through so many hoops and be creative to give your children the opportunities that aren't there because they didn't go to a normal school. But if you're smart and you're savvy, as you obviously are, those opportunities can be there if you think outside the box, and rather than go,
exactly.
Oh, I can't do that. And I know that there's a lot of people that I know that homeschool their children. They'll just go, oh no, the government said they can't do it, or this and that. But if you take the time and you are creative and you go, well, my child we need to do this. How can we look at it? And I talk to a lot of women that want to go back into the workforce that have been single mums. And they say, but I haven't had a job, I haven't did this, but they've been, president of this certain sporting club, or they've done this and they've done that, they've been a secretary, they've done all, but they just haven't been in paid work. It's still experience, it's still whatever it is, and that's what you've basically done with your children.
Yes. Absolutely. And, when parents come to me and their children are literally about to go to college, and we're trying to find the money and trying to figure out how to make those applications work, but they have not planned, then it becomes like an Easter egg hunt, trying to find and pull out what has that student done, what have they accomplished, and the truth is, a lot of parents, well, my kid is average, my kid isn't special. I don't believe that. I don't buy that for a moment. Everyone is special. Everyone has some God-given talent or specialty. You just haven't been looking for it. You haven't looked that closely. I know, for example, my son is a very reserved individual. You won't know what sparks an interest unless you happen to be watching, because he gets this sparkle in his eye, but it's gone in a second if you haven't been watching for it. But if your child, let's say your teenager has been babysitting, well, you don't put babysitting on the resume, you put childcare. So it's all about how you envision it, how you word it, how do you structure it so that it appears more than just, well, I was babysitting my little brother. No, you actually had a business. You earned money for this. Or as an adult, or even as a student who's volunteering to do some type of work in the world, these go on the resume. you have experience, as you said, in doing something, whether it's a communication skill, a leadership skill of some kind, or maybe it's a technical skill that you've learned and applied in your life at home being a parent. There's so much more out there that you can put down that you don't even realize.
Yeah, and Denise, I love that, because that's what I encourage the women that I work with to do. But it's about what I'd like to say when you said about you're seeing that sparkle in your son's eye. It's about being aware. It's about being conscious around your children and having that awareness and being grounded and seeing. Oh, and if you weren't grounded and you weren't conscious, you would never pick that up, that's what's happening with your child. And I think in today's world, so many people concentrate on the negative, that my child's not good at this or it's not good at that, because we try and pitch our children against other kids, that we forget to see and have a look at what they are good at, what sparks their very inner spark at such an early age.
Exactly. And I like to, people think, okay, well, when should you start looking into this, the college process or what have you? And in all honesty, the second you ask that question is when you should start looking into it, because it's never too early. As I mentioned, at least here in the US, there is one scholarship that is for kindergarten through third grade. And as far as the number of scholarships that are available, it looks like a bell curve, with the vast majority being at the peak for high school seniors. But on both sides of that curve, there are scholarship opportunities. And as I mentioned, it goes all the way from kindergarten all the way to higher level education, whether it's getting your master's or your doctorate or even professional school. There's medical school and law school scholarships. So there's opportunities for everyone. And what I tell parents is never stop looking for free money until that last parchment is in hand, because that money is out there.
And I think that's really important when you say free money, because a lot of people think it's a handout.
Oh, no. Think about it this way. The people giving the money, they're not, well, okay, some of them are giving it out of the kindness of their heart, but the vast majority are coming from foundations or businesses or corporations. They're getting a tax break. Yes, it does look good to be community minded, and let's say it's a corporation that is STEM oriented. Well, they may give a STEM scholarship, and maybe they don't have a lot of young ladies in their corporation, so they are giving a STEM scholarship to women, in that particular area. It's a way to continue that type of business, to try to keep that going, right? And there's no guarantee that young lady or young man is going to work for that company, but it keeps the industry alive. So it's not a handout. They get a benefit from it as well.
And I also think that for those that are on the receiving end, it's a means to an end. It's an opportunity, if we see it as an opportunity rather than being seen as, oh, I'm on a scholarship, or you haven't been handed this. You've had to work for it. You've had to. And
you have to work for it. Absolutely. Believe me, a debt-free education takes a lot more work than getting a student loan. A student loan is the cop-out. That's too easy, because the banks are happy to give you money. If you have a federal student loan, they're happy to give you money because they're getting the interest. And they make the term such that it drags it out as long as humanly possible. So they get more and more interest out of you. So you're better off if you work for it earlier than later.
So having said that, why is it important for families that their teens attend college debt-free?
Well, in the US, it takes an average of 21 years to pay off a bachelor's degree today. Now, it sounds really weird, 21 years. Why on earth would it take that long? Back when I was in school, it took 10 years. You signed a contract for 10 years and you paid it off in 10 years. That was it. And there were no other options. But today, students can elect to get a loan or a note for 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years. But then it gets worse. They can change the payment plan to be an income-based repayment plan so that if their income is low or drops or they get laid off, those payments are reduced by a lot. Or they can defer the payments. Let's say they have a life change, new child in the family, they get married, they suddenly have more financial responsibilities, or there's a health issue. They can defer or delay their payments for a short time. What we haven't done is we have not done a good job of explaining the financial implications of these types of payment plans. This can be financially devastating, but it doesn't have to be. Another thing that parents are unaware of, when parents or grandparents co-sign for their kids' student loan, it becomes their loan. So not only does your son or daughter carry $100,000 or $200,000 debt, so do you. So for the parent or grandparent co-signer, this significantly reduces your buying power for your future. Also, the bank may not contact the co-signer when the young adult misses a payment or defaults on the loan. So this impacts the co-signer's credit score as well. But those are the bad parts of having the debt. If your teen goes to college debt-free and they have that financial freedom and the freedom from financial stress that everyone else is dealing with throughout all of high school and then having to pay it back afterwards. But here's something that gets left out of the conversation. The average student loan payment is $400 per month paid to a bank. Now, if the kids invest that $400 per month in their retirement instead of paying the bank, they can have a net worth of over $4 million at age 67. And then they can live the life of their dreams instead of spending half their life paying off college debt. And the parents have more financial freedom as well. As I mentioned before, as you mentioned, we spent 5 years full-time RVing and traveling abroad after sending our youngest off to college debt-free. So there's a lot of advantages, both for the parent and for the student, for that debt-free education.
Yeah, and education, it is important, and the parents normally, most parents, a lot of parents take that debt on for their children, or their children are they have that debt here in Australia. I think it's we call it a HECS debt. I think it's a HECS debt, and they have to pay it off over a certain amount of time, and that is a lot of strain, especially as most of the time when the kids come out of uni, a lot of them get married and then they have children, and the debt just gets bigger and bigger. It stops them from buying a house. It causes financial stress, causes a whole host of things in just everyday life, all because they wanted an education.
Well, and they forget that when your kid has college debt, what are the odds that their spouse is also coming into the marriage with college debt? So now you've just doubled it. And let's assume that there are grandchildren coming at some point. Well, now you're down to one income with double the debt. So again, thinking ahead about these possibilities, these probabilities is a pretty wise move on both parts.
Yeah, I think it's I'm finding this really interesting, and I don't have grandchildren at the moment, but it's what we don't think of. We always think of our own retirement, or we think of our own health, but we don't think of our children's education and how it's going to impact from when it's left as, okay, they start school, yep, it's going to cost X amount of dollars, you pay it, then you do the next one, and then, but gradually as you have more and more children, the debt gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and what might cost you for one, then you have another child going a couple of years later, and like I only had 2 children, so like you, I only had twice the debt. But it does impact the family. It does impact whether it's pencils, whether it's uniforms, or whatever it is, or school fees, and that it's their excursions and all of that. And we've got the opportunity as parents, and we have the opportunity to help our children and talk to our children as they get older, and they understand that if they want to do this, and this, they must start to do the work and get the grades, and it's up to them, because if they don't get it, they can't. We've got to be honest as parents and say, we can't afford to send you to college.
Right. And be honest early. The earlier you have that conversation with your kids, the better off everyone is going to be. And I know we don't talk to our kids about how much money mom and dad are bringing home, how much the house costs, how much their, the mortgage is or what have you. But this is a different situation. They need to know ahead of time that, hey, paying for college is on you. And that's what I heard between my high school junior and senior year. My whole life, all I ever heard was, when you go to college. That's how the conversation would start. It was never if you go to college. So the assumption was, we're getting a college education. But nobody mentioned anything about who or how it was going to be paid for. The topic literally never came up until that summer between my high school and junior and senior year. At that point, when my mom said, "Oh no, we're not paying for you to go to college," suddenly the math flashed before my eyes. I had been going to fast food restaurants for lunch and dinner during my job, right? My job that I had for the summer, my breaks for lunch and dinner. And I added that up in my mind. And within seconds, I realized every summer that I spent going to McDonald's and Burger King or Taco Bell for lunch and dinner every day, that was a semester of college. So you can imagine the very next day I brought a sack lunch. Suddenly I realized, okay, I need to figure this out. But I had jobs from the time I was 14. I was teaching other kids how to play the guitar. I didn't save a dime. I had been working since 14, didn't save a dime. But had I known early on, I know I wouldn't have had nearly the financial struggles that I had going to college. It would not have been nearly as huge of a problem. So, you have to think outside of the box, not just for yourself, but for your kids as well. Help them to understand that college can be expensive. And again, choosing the right university to attend makes a huge difference. Another problem, I think, that we have, another myth, is the dream school. You have to attend your dream school. No, you don't. I really believe that the colleges who are, quote, dream schools are the ones who threw out that marketing gimmick out there that you have to attend your dream school. It's kind of like wanting to buy a Tesla. Well, when you are buying a car, you're going to research the car. You're going to find out everything about it. What are the features? Am I going to be comfortable in it, et cetera? And then there's the other question is, can I afford it? But for some reason, when it comes to college, we don't think like that. We're emotionally attached to a name, but we're not walking into a Tesla showroom and saying, I'll take the red one, right? We are, we're there just to oogle over the pretty little cars. We're not there to buy one. We just want to sit in it and pretend. And you can do the same when you're doing your college research, but get realistic about what's really affordable for your family. Because the truth is, 99.99% of the employers out there do not care about the name on your diploma.
Yeah, and I love that you say this, but because so many people go, I was educated of college education at such and such uni or such and college, and it's a big thing that, if they're a Rhodes Scholar, and I know that's very much English, but they're educated here or there. It doesn't really matter where you're educated, as long as you've and you're a good person and you're doing whatever it is that you need to, but it's a name that the so-called popular colleges, I think, and the money that they throw behind it to get the kids and people that go through it jobs, because what if we understand as humans that they've paid a shitload of money to have the forefront of being there. And my children went to private schools and public schools, and it didn't do any different for them whether they're in private school or public school. It's just that where we were living in the middle of nowhere, they had to do their education away from home in private schools. And it's up to the child at the end of the day, whether they choose to learn or they don't choose to learn.
100% correct. Your success in life has nothing to do with the name on your diploma. Your success in life depends on you. And there have been enough studies that prove that, but still the myth persists. And another thing that I wanted to mention, people don't realize this, it's so funny. I think it's funny. The big name colleges that get all these big endowments from, their alumni, their alumni get pelted probably every month with a phone call or a letter in the mail begging for money. Those colleges purchase mailing lists from corporations such as the ACT and the SAT that do these testings for the kids. They send postcards to almost every child, pretty much every child, saying, "Wow, your test scores were so wonderful. You should apply to our college. And here's a free code so that you don't have to pay the application fee." Well, half the time the test scores haven't even come out yet, so they don't even know what the kids' test scores were. This is a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
The fact that they're doing it without the fee gets more kids to apply. That reduces their rate of acceptance. So instead of it being maybe a 10% acceptance rate or a 20% acceptance rate, it's a 5% acceptance rate because they have more people applying. Well, sure. If you're going to say, hey, everybody, we can have 200,000 kids apply with no fee, why not? Most people will say, why not? We'll throw our hat in the ring and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's marketing.
And it does. It's education is no different to anything else.
No.
That it all comes down to marketing. So, what are the challenges that parents face and children face sending the kids off debt free? What are the challenges?
Well, I think that the biggest challenge that is that most parents didn't save for college, and they don't know where to find the money or what colleges and scholarship committees specifically are looking for. But mostly, as we've been talking about today, there's a lot of myths that surround attending college and university today. The biggest one, parents don't believe it's even possible to go to college debt-free. Or worse, they believe that their grades and test scores or athletics will get a full ride scholarship that covers literally everything. And that's just not the case for most kids. There's a lot of opportunities, yes, but not everyone is going to get tuition, fees, room, board, and books covered just because they got a perfect SAT score.
So, what you're saying, what I'm for those that aren't in America is research what's out there, research the scholarships that are out there from a very early age, research what's possible to receive, and not look at it from a government point of view, but look at the businesses, because I know here in Australia BHP offer university scholarships. There's a host of different corporate organizations that
Yes.
do offer that. But really, truly do your research and nut down and have a look at what might be available that suits, and I will say suits your children, because you don't want to put your child into something with BHP if they want to go in and do the arts, for instance.
Exactly. And there are, Australia is not a little country. There are a lot of universities available. It's impossible probably to take the time to research all of them. I don't know how many there are in Australia, but I know that there are over 4,000 colleges and universities, 4-year colleges and universities in the US. You don't have time to research all of that. But the earlier you start and you start whittling away, well, okay, so I have a clue that my kid will end up in the arts or will end up in a literary area, or they're going to end up probably in more of a STEM field. You can narrow that down by half in a hurry or more so. And then you start thinking about locality. Well, would my child be more suited? And you talk with your kids about these things. There's tons of different opportunities out there. So if I live in the South and it's hotter than Hades in the summertime or the wintertime, wherever you are, Is my child going to be happy if they have to walk through snow between their dormitory and their classes every day?
Yeah.
So think about those things to help narrow down your list of opportunities, and then go to those college websites. Find out if they offer scholarships for grades or test scores, and if those scholarships are guaranteed based on those scores, and then what those scores are. What is the goal? Finding out what that goal is, both for the college university scholarship and for what's available for corporations. Now, the vast majority of private scholarships, those not with a particular college or university, private scholarships do not always ask for test scores or grades. They are more interested in finding out more about how your child thinks, what's important to them. And they'll have an essay question of some kind. And what I tell my parents is this: when you're looking at those types of scholarships, if it's going to be like pulling teeth for your child to answer the essay question, kick it out and find a different one. Because just like reading a novel, the author's thoughts and feelings and emotions comes through in the writing.
Yeah.
And the same will be true when your child is writing their essay for scholarships, or for even their essays for the college application themselves. The topic needs to be something that they care something about in order to be able to write a really good, thought-provoking essay that is going to win. So there's a lot of tips and tricks like that I tell my parents about.
So how would, like, I know you work in the US, so say someone in Australia was interested in knowing the tips and how they could write, because whether you're writing for a school in America or you're writing for a school in Australia, it's a little bit like writing, I guess. When we apply for the public service here, we have to do a criteria. I think it's a criteria app, and you've got this whole list of criteria that you've got to write to. It would be something similar like that. I'm not quite sure whether I'm on the same page here, because I have got no idea, because I didn't send my kids to college. So, but what tips could you give for people outside of America where they could look to get these private scholarships? Because they're all over.
Exactly. There are going to be organizations, or I call them companies, but organizations that have databases. Actually, that's exactly what it's, a database of scholarships. And each country has those databases. The corporations that offer scholarships pay these databases to have their scholarship listed. So for the student to apply for these scholarships doesn't cost any money. That's rule number one. Don't ever pay to apply for a scholarship. That's a no-no. If the scholarship company, if the company giving the money needs $7 to process it, they can't afford to give the scholarship. So don't do that. But there are scholarship databases available online. And what you'll do is you'll Google search scholarship databases for Australian college students or Australian students or in Australia. But that's not the first place to look. The first place to look is for local scholarships. The stores, the shops, the businesses that are in your own location. Many of those give college scholarships. So doing that research first makes more sense, because those scholarships will have much fewer applicants than the ones that are for pretty much anybody in that grade level in your entire country. So you don't want to blow off applying for national scholarships, but you want that to be in the realm, but you want to really focus on those local ones first. There's going to be a lot fewer local scholarships for sure, but you want to focus on that first. Find out what the other students in your area are getting for scholarships. So what I recommend, one of the tips, is to look on the website for all of the high schools in your area, not just the school your child goes to, but all of the high schools. If your child is attending a private school, look on the public school websites, and vice versa. If they're going to a public school, look in the private school websites. there's a good chance that somewhere on that website, there is either a list of scholarships or someone to contact for those scholarships. There may also be lists of those databases and the links that you can go to find the scholarships that are available. Another thing that I ask parents to do is to look in your newspaper. Now, granted, most newspapers today are not physical newspapers, they're online.
Yeah.
But right around the time, let's say about 2 or 3 months before your high school graduations occur. If your graduations generally occur in May or June, then you want to start looking in maybe March or April. But start looking and searching in those newspapers online during those months for scholarship winners. You want to look for the other high school seniors and what have they won. They will list the names of the scholarships these students have won. There might be an awards night, a senior awards night or something at your local high school. If you have a high school freshman, sophomore, or junior, try to attend that evening. You're not there because you know somebody who's winning an award. You're there to take notes. You want to find out what kind of scholarships these kids are winning, what kind of awards and who's giving them. And then you do the research and find out, is your kid eligible? What makes them eligible to apply for those scholarships? And then you can make things happen.
That's amazing advice, and I can see how that can translate to here in Australia, where we do have award nights, and you can go. Even grandparents could go if the parents can't go, and sit there, because there's a lot of grandparents that are looking after their children here in Australia that have custody of their grandchildren, and to go there, even in what we call primary school, and then we call high school, and then we have university. So it's a little bit different to America. But I do know, and I remember when I went to school, some of the kids I went to school with got scholarships to do this and to do that. My children, when they were in boarding school, they got scholarships to attend a boarding school for so many years and have all their fees and everything paid. And it wasn't, some of it was through the government, or if they wanted private education, but different companies offered different scholarships for the kids to attend. And I can relate to that here in Australia and bring that into, and on a different level. We may not have all the same things, but I'm sure that people that have been watching can relate that and take that information that you've taken from what's in the US to their own country to actually help their children. So thank you so much, Denise, for that, because you've explained it in such a way, in plain basic English, and that's what I've really enjoyed about tonight's chat.
Well, thank you very much. I really hope that the parents understand, and grandparents as well. You can help your kids get through this. And there's definitely more than one way to do college or university debt-free. It's about as different as your children are, and children are very different everywhere. So since there's no one way of doing it, learning about all the different methods and the strategies to do this is really important. I have, my youngest child also has some learning difficulties. And so going to college was a struggle at first, but it took time for him to learn how to make this happen. And one of the things that is important here in the US, many of the scholarships are based on your grades. So even if if a scholarship is a one-time, here we're giving you $1,000, that's awesome. They don't care what your grades are after that. It's not a big deal. But if it's a renewable scholarship from one year to the next, usually 98% of the time, you have to keep up a particular grade point average throughout college to maintain and renew that scholarship again. Well, it can be difficult for someone with a learning difference to be able to maintain those scholarships. So I'm telling you, I was biting my fingers and pulling my hair out, and my hair was turning gray most of that time, trying to make sure and praying that this was going to happen. So there's a lot of considerations going into the university system, but it doesn't just start in late high school. It really does start in primary school, Because one of the things that parents don't realize is that the activities that your children are involved in throughout high school have an impact on college admissions and scholarships. So, for example, I'll ask a parent whose child is in late primary school, okay, so Johnny's been playing ball for the local, whatever team since he was 4 years old. Is he going to play college ball? And the answer is usually, well, I don't know. He's only 12 years old. Then my answer is no, he's probably not going to play college ball, because those kids have been identified usually by age 8 or 9. Maybe not identified by the college, but it's obvious the kid is going to be darn good. So at age 12, I'm not saying quit playing ball. I'm saying at this point, you need to ask the question, does Johnny love it? Or is he just going because mom's been dropping him off at the park every week since he was 4? Or is this really something he's passionate about, And if he's passionate about it, well, then there's more we can do. Okay, so he's probably not going to play college ball. He may not even play high school ball at this point. But what he might be able to do is coach or be an assistant coach for the younger kids as he gets older. Now we have a leadership role. So evaluating these things from an early age can make a huge difference in what that resume looks like for college applications and college scholarships. So there's a lot that I try to go through in my course. In my Cracking the Code to Free College course, I do start with that plan or that roadmap, I like to call it, where it starts off with, where are we going? What's the whole point here? Have I missed anything? Let's not miss anything, right? And then we talk about those activities, as I just mentioned. With those activities, then we start looking at the kid's resume. Yes, your teen needs a resume, not just a resume when they decide to go to get a job, for employment, but they need a high school to college or high school to university resume, because this is where you're going to get the information that they'll fill out for those college applications and those scholarship applications. The fourth thing that we do, that's the part where we start looking for the money. The problem is that most parents wait until they find out that there's a gap before they call me. And all they want to do is say, okay, well, where do I find the money? Where do I find scholarships? That's what they think they need. But what they don't realize is that the process doesn't start with, hey, give me some money. The process starts from step one, having a plan. So I've actually had parents come to me at that point in time. Well, my kid decided they're going to this university and this is how much money the college is offering. And now we have a gap. So how do we fill it? And I will take them on, excuse me, if they promise to not miss any steps. Go from the beginning, even though you've already probably passed up a lot of these steps, start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I've had parents come back and call me and say, you're a genius. Yeah, I know.
Well, there's nothing better than self-recommendation.
It's not about, it's just that I went through the research, I mean, I know what it took to make this happen for my kids. And I know what it takes, that 600,000 that are graduating debt-free every year. They're using the same strategies. This is how this works. And when you have a plan and you follow the plan, you can't miss. I get text messages all the time from parents saying, oh, Johnny just won another $1,000 scholarship. Yay. Okay, congrats. That's awesome. Keep up the good work. So after finding that money, we're going to be focusing on the essays, because we now know where to find it, but we have to fill out those essays in those applications now. So we go through the essay writing process. It's necessary both for college admissions and for those scholarships, those independent scholarships as well. And after we've found the money, we're writing those essays, then we work on marketing your student for college admissions. And then we're using everything from activities to the resume, the essay, the whole thing. So it all comes together in one package, one college application package, I call it. And what was really astounding to me is the very first application package that I put together for my daughter for her first college application that she sent in. She was still a high school junior. This was a university that had rolling admissions. They didn't have we open admissions on this date and we close them on this date. It was year round, and you just checked the box, which semester you planned to attend. So she had the minimum grades and the minimum test scores for the lower level scholarship at that university. So there was no reason to wait until senior year to apply. She could just check the box, get it over with, so to speak. So she did. She sent off the application package. We got a phone call 3 days later. A gentleman is calling for my daughter. So I'm answering the phone. This is her mother. How may I help you? Because no man is talking to my 16-year-old daughter without going through me first. And he said, Mrs. Thomas, this is, and he named the university he was from. We received your daughter's application, but we did not receive the application fee. Now, you're going to see in just a moment, there's going to be a checklist. The very first point on that checklist is to follow instructions, okay? My daughter did not follow instructions. We did not receive the fee, and we would like to offer her tuition, fees, room, board, and books, but we can't process it without the application fee. Well, now at this point in time, I'm thinking there's a mistake. There's no way. So I asked, you do know she's a junior? Yes, ma'am. We'll wait for her. This is an application that markets your teen to the college. It shows them the caliber and the type of person they're going to get on their college campus. You have to think, what are they looking for? What are colleges looking for? Well, their main goal is to fill their freshman class. They want to be able to see your student fulfilling certain roles in their campus community. And when they can see that, they want your student. So it's a strategy that I put together, and I love it. It works great. It's definitely something that I think more families need to utilize rather than allowing it to be in the other direction. You don't want a college that you want. You want a college that wants you, because that's where the money is.
And it is. And having said that, where can people find you if they want to know more information, and how can they contact you?
Well, there'll be my website, or some links will be in your show notes, but there's also a free checklist that I want to make sure that the parents get. It's my 12 scholarship secrets, tips from prestigious scholarship judges. And they can also take a parent quiz and test their knowledge of what it takes for your teen to have a debt-free college education. And both links will be available in the show notes.
Cool. And I'll be putting them in the morning, because it's late here. And I know it's very early morning for you. But yeah, so I'll be putting them in tomorrow. And I just want to thank you so much, Denise, for taking the time to come on the show, because I have found what you've shared with us. I found it very enlightening. I found it very, very interesting, and I can see how it can relate people can take bits of it to their own country and go out there and get their children a debt-free education, or even partly debt-free education, and chase the scholarships, because I'm not quite sure how it works here in Australia, how many scholarships there are, but I know that the information that you've shared is valuable information for parents, because the biggest cost in a family's life is their child's education.
Absolutely. And there's no reason for parents to, we hear a lot about parents trying to foot the bill for their child's education. And I know what it feels like to feel like you're not doing your part as a parent. I'm failing as a parent because I have not put aside this money. I've thought about it every 2 or 3 years, just never got around to it, or didn't save enough. And what a parent needs to realize is you can't eat a diploma. If you foot the bill and end up utilizing what should be in your retirement, or taking money out of your retirement, you're going to be up a creek without a paddle. And you're now praying or hoping that your child's education that you paid for pays enough of an income for them to support you later on. And that may not be a pleasant for either one of you. So just saying, let's get ahead of this game.
Cool. So thank you so much for sharing with us as we draw tonight's show to a close. And if anyone that's watching the live show or the replay or listening to the podcast when I put it up on Vino and Chat podcast, please, you want to know more information, get in contact with Denise. A wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge has been there. Practice exactly what she's giving out, and the information she's given out has got proof in what her children has done and how her and her husband are living their lives. So get out there, contact her, and give yourself and your child that debt-free education, because it's just not about your children, it's about you as well. And the more, at some point as parents, you know, we have to go, okay, there's a two-way street here, and let's see what we can get for the children and their education for nothing, but the kids also have to play a part in it. And it's really important, because we as parents often believe that it doesn't matter if our children want a university education, it doesn't matter how old they are, that we as parents must provide that, and we don't have to do that. So thank you, Denise, for your insight. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. And for the Vino and Chat people, I will see you next week when I talk to another awesome soul, sharing amazing tips and amazing awareness around how you can improve your life no matter where you are in the world.